For the pledge, please. Triana, can you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our veterans, our first responders, those fighting the good fight in the Ukraine, and those tragic souls that were lost in Syria and in Turkey via the earthquake. Thank you. Okay. Have any, Sal, any public participation?
No public participation.
Oh, nice not talking tonight.
No one, Sal?
No one.
Okay. Walter? Like to start us off with,
Board of Finance, motion to restart the meeting that was adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
To the council, motion to reconvene the meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you. Next is Senior Center. Jasmine.
Good evening, everyone. I quickly start off by giving you some light reading material. If you don't mind, please take two and pass one along. These are copies of our February and March newsletter.
Take two.
Take two, yeah, because I'm giving you February and March.
Oh, so I already got one.
Oh, well, you can pass it along to someone that hasn't been to the senior center yet.
Okay.
There you go.
One's February and one's March.
You bet that.
And before Jasmine starts, as we talked about last night, in speaking with our finance chair as well, if we can keep the questions to budgetary questions, and if you have other questions or comments, you can definitely see the department heads after the meeting. This is just kind of to make the meeting more efficient, which would be great. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Jasmine.
No worries at all. Well, good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, Town Council, and New Milford community. My name is Jasmine DeCusinhara, and I am the director of the New Milford Senior Center. And I thank you for the opportunity to present the 2023-2024 budget on behalf of the New Milford Senior Center and Commission on Aging. So in addition to our PowerPoint, I wanted to pass along to you a copy of our February and March newsletter to give you a snapshot of our town senior center. And for those of you tuning in from home or within this room, these newsletters are also available on the newmilford.org website. So as you are maybe aware, the senior population is one of the fastest growing populations in New Milford, and we are honored that we have been able to serve more than half of this population through the services and resources that the New Milford Senior Center offers. So this slide begins our expenditures, the bulk of which covers personnel. Our staff currently consists of myself, Jeanette, our program coordinator, assistant director, Kim, our office coordinator, and 13B clerical personnel, Tom and Aaron, our two senior bus operators, Sue, our per diem substitute bus operator, Rufus, our part-time chore services coordinator, and Amanda and Marissa, our municipal agents, which are Connecticut state statute mandated positions to ensure that every town have advocates for the elderly to provide information and referrals in federal, state, and local benefits and entitlements. Budgeted also in that personnel line is our part-time seasonal office coordinator to assist our municipal agents for the months of September to January, as it is the busiest seasons with energy assistance, open enrollment, and holiday programs. Also on this slide is a request for capital for furniture replacement due to high volume use and furniture that is more cleaning friendly, as well as our capital vehicle line, which is an 80-20 match under the 5310 transportation grant, where the town's contributions would be about $22,000 because of our mayor's surplus funds, our request for this budget season is only $6,000, as the rest has been accounted for in surplus. This is a grant that we apply for every 2 years to ensure that we have well-running buses to provide transportation service that covers many miles throughout our town, which of course all of you know is the largest town area-wise in the state. I would also like to note that though we have a small staff, we're able to provide the caliber of quality service through the help of our many volunteers, ranging from our Commission on Aging, our chore service volunteers to provide services needed to help and ensure the safety and security of our seniors to age in place in their homes, and our many program-based volunteers who range from assisting with our congregate meals, our Meals on Wheels drivers, our Wheels volunteers to provide rides to non-emergency medical appointments within the greater New Milford area, and to all of our volunteer program and activity facilitators to provide enrichment and inspiration. Continuing with our expenditures is the breakdown of the following accounts. Our contractual account, which encompasses the web services of our senior center database, My Senior Center, and inclusion in the regional resource website, AgeWell CT, and also allocations toward our health and wellness screenings and programs, and the local funding contribution from town entities for our Meals on Wheels program for meals delivered to homebound residents. So currently there are about 30 Meals on Wheels recipients in the town of New Milford, which equates to just shy of about 9,000 meals for this portion of the senior population. Then we have our materials and supplies for all our educational, social, and recreational programs, as well as general office supplies, equipment, and professional development. And we also have our materials and self-sustaining account, which is for our fee-based programs and activities, such as our special interest or exercise classes, and also for miscellaneous repairs and maintenance of our senior buses under the 13B transportation grant. And last but not least, under this slide, we have our congregate lunches, which under Title III of the Older Americans Act serves to provide congregate meal services that are covered in expenses one-to-one. So the New Milford Senior Center, we serve lunches there Monday through Thursday, 12 o'clock. We have a fabulous on-site chef, Chef Jason Streck. He's under Shay J, and he's been our food provider. We see, anywhere from a low number, quote, of 20 to up to upwards of 80 for special events. So it's been a great piece to our daily offerings here at the Senior Center. So it's been quite a ride, and we're proud to say that though for a long time our doors were locked, and the Milford Senior Center never skipped a beat, and are happy to say that we've had our first fiscal year of being officially open. Throughout the pandemic, we sought to keep our senior community engaged, taken care of, and uplifted by being a senior center beyond four walls. And now we're happy to continue to offer a wide array of programs and activities and services that provide opportunities socially and recreationally, educationally, and to enhance health and wellness. We're even more excited to note that we have continued to pursue the initiative of being a senior center beyond four walls by examples of expanding our programming off-site, such as our Movers and Shakers Club, which ventures through local hiking spots. We even booked out Bank Street Theater at the beginning of February to offer a special showing of 80 for Brady, which they loved. And even having the opportunity to be welcomed and connected with other area senior centers. New Milford actually has a traveling Wii bowling team and also a cornhole team, which are the current champions against New Fairfield Senior Center. So applause to that. And we also are offering programs and activities outside of our 8 to 4 normal business hours, such as we have a Zumba Gold class that's offered off hours, and we have, and occasionally we also offer special weekend programming in which we offer transportation. Most recently, we opened our doors for a Saturday afternoon cabaret, which featured local talent serenading us all with Broadway hits. And it was a fundraising effort for our New Milford Senior Center Enrichment Fund. And so with all of that, we strive to be a senior center beyond four walls by just simply being reachable and being able to provide service and connection through different communication platforms such as phone, email, texting, online resources, and social media. And so now looking to our revenue, we're very fortunate to have grants that help offset some of our expenditures at the senior center. Primarily, you'll see on this slide that we have our COA revenue, which allows payroll offset for our bus operators, as well as additional for repairs and maintenance for our buses, all from the CTDOT's 13B transportation grant, and also the expected reimbursement from the 5310 senior bus grant to purchase a new wheelchair accessible bus. So the senior center currently has 2 active regularly operating buses and 1 spare. In addition, we also have a WCAAA, Western Connecticut Area Agency on Aging grant, that helps to offset our payroll for our chore services coordinator. And the remaining from our revenue are the anticipated contributions from our fee-based programs and activities and senior center bus services, and the congregate lunch revenue with the elderly nutrition program, which again is covered one-to-one from our congregate lunch expenditure line. So in sum, we're proud to say that we're able to offer our senior community excellence in service between all of the resources we provide at the New Milford Senior Center. And we truly appreciate the community's support as we navigated through the reopening of our doors, and truly look forward of all that's to come. You know, it's really been incredible to welcome everybody back to our senior center. And we can easily say that we welcome at least 100 people through our doors each day. And with each week, we're welcoming more and more new members and getting them connected to all the senior center has to offer. So from all of us at the New Milford Senior Center and the Commission on Aging, we thank you for your time and your opportunity to present our 2023-2024 budget for the New Milford Senior Center. And I open the floor to any questions.
Katie?
Yes.
Jasmine, thank you, as always. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Chris.
This is Chris, I'm sorry.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Jasmine. Great job, and thank you to you and your team for everything you guys do. You do a phenomenal job there, thank you for that. Two questions. One, the new vehicle, is that a replacement?
It will be a replacement. So how the cycle typically works is the oldest of the two regularly operating buses then becomes the spare, and then the town is able to use the spare if they sell it or junk it or have it here for use. But then it'll replace. So we'll always have a new bus and a semi-older bus, and the oldest bus will be the spare.
Great. And then the only other question is, I see the Meals on Wheels contractual item has gone down significantly.
Yes.
This coming year. Is that because the need is less?
So we have two companies. I'm glad that you asked that because I wanted to provide some clarification on that also. So we do have two companies that handle our Meals on Wheels here in New Milford, just because of the area is so vast. Only over the past couple of years, only one of the companies has been requesting this reimbursement. So that is why that number has significantly decreased. We have, as far as I've been here director, there's only been one company, our New Opportunities company, that has been requesting this reimbursement. So that's why we eliminated the other.
Well, okay, that's terrific.
Yeah.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Katie?
Yes.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Just what Chris just brought up. So you still do have two other,
Yes.
okay, so.
Or two other, there are two.
Yes, right. And so you're sure that that one you removed from your budget isn't going to?
Request it back again.
Yeah.
So I did my homework. I did check in with finance too to see if we've ever issued this, this company in previous years, and for over the past 5 years, there has not been a request for this reimbursement from the town. The company that has requested has requested this year has always done so about January or so. So as I'm learning the patterns, this is why I made that adjustment.
Okay, good. So the bus.
Yes.
You keep, I know you rotate. So you have one as a spare. How often do you use the spare?
So we use the spare actually quite regularly, because we will use that bus if any of our regular buses are out of service. And we also have used those our spare bus with our sub driver, for example, when we need a lot more transportation going on, as we have a lot of activities. So one example that comes to mind right away is when we had, when we were all locked down during the pandemic during Thanksgiving, and there was over 100 requests for Thanksgiving meals to be brought out. We enlisted the entire fleet to span the town, truly. But that bus is used pretty regularly. If there's a bus out for repair, we've had.
How often, other than like during COVID, but how often would you say? Once a week?
No, I would say if anything, it's maybe at most twice a month. It's during a regular run, as we do have our buses going out for regular maintenance and whatnot. And so in that stream, we'd use the spare.
But you're paying insurance, et cetera, on that.
Yep. So that's a town-owned vehicle, the spare.
So the town's paying insurance on that. Okay. And the other question has to do with the overtime for the municipal agents. Did you use that $3,000 last budget?
We did not.
Okay,
no, because
so
we
it's
also
back
only
there
had
because you have a part-time person for them. I'm just curious why you leave it in.
We have a part-time person, but that's only seasonal. So we only have that part-time person from the months of September to
Right.
January.
That's their busy time.
Yep.
Okay, but you didn't use it last year, so you have it in here again.
We didn't use it in its entirety, if that's, and that's the overtime line for both the municipal agents and the bus drivers.
Oh, it doesn't say that, does it? Oh, it does say bus operators, I'm sorry.
no,
Okay,
that's
so
okay.
the bus operators, how much overtime do they have?
So whenever we have an off-hours event, that's when we utilize that bus line. Are you looking for the actuals figures?
No,
or-
no, I'm just, but these are your buses?
Yes. Yep, our buses and our drivers. So we have that overtime line, for example, for our buses that offer off hours events. We've used our overtime to take our folks to the Apple Festival or to attend this cabaret that we had last
Right,
week.
right.
As far as the municipal agents, we have this overtime line to be able to accommodate for the working seniors. Our hours of operation are 8 to 4, but we do
Right.
have folks that come to us that maybe need a 5 o'clock. A 5
Right.
o'clock
So
hour.
they can't be staggered like 9 to 5 instead of 8 to 4?
We could, but especially during busy seasons, we do dip into that
Okay.
overtime line to be able to accommodate for, the influx of seniors that we're
Okay.
receiving for service.
Okay, and my last question is, how many hours does the chore coordinator work?
So the chore coordinator is 19 and a half hours per week. And so that is offset by volunteer hours.
Yeah.
And as well as, so currently we have Rufus as our chore coordinator who goes above and beyond.
Right, does.
So paid hours truly is 19 and a half, but that is offset by the volunteers. And, this person really just has the heart to
Yeah, he does.
do and to be there and to really be there for our seniors.
Well, thank you. You do a great job, all of you.
Thank you, Katie.
Diane?
Just a quick one. You explained the Meals on Wheels differential quite well, but I have a question. So last year it shows, why can't I find it? It shows, where did it go? $11,000.
Yes.
Right? And this year your budget is for $6,000. So
Yes.
why did you put $11,000 in last year, knowing that the second company has not asked for reimbursement?
So to be very honest with that question, so I'm quite new to the director role.
Yes, I know.
For a lot of the pieces, as I was learning, this has been in our budget, anticipating that this company would request a reimbursement, but we have not seen that since I've been in this role, and also looking back, doing my homework to seeing if we've ever issued the second company a town contribution. And since that wasn't the case, that's why I took that out of this year moving forward as a more educated decision.
Excellent. Great catch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Joe?
Hi, Joe.
I think I half missed Councilwoman Francis asking about the bus grant.
Sure.
Why is it double?
Why is there two?
Yeah, why are there two lines there?
Part of it, so it's an 80-20 match.
Right.
So let me go back to this slide here. So the 58,000 is what we are expected to be reimbursed with a grant. So almost like the town fronts all of it first with the expected grant, and then the 20% from the town, which is 22,000, which we do have, which we're requesting only 6,000 as, let's see, where am I? 6,000 as the mayor has some surplus funds available for the rest of the 22.
Okay, so
So from the town truly, is 22,000. The rest is offset by this grant. So that's the 80-20 match for the bus grant.
okay, because in the previous year the surplus funds were outlined as a line item. So I wasn't sure on this. That's actually 22. So the 58,000 is actually what we expect to be a grant.
Yes. Yep. So we front it first, and then it comes back to us
Okay.
so that we
excellent.
can actually get the bus.
And as everyone says over and over again, I failed to this time. I mean, what you guys do for the seniors is absolutely amazing. And I'm glad that, you're a huge resource for the town. I mean,
Thank you.
It really is great.
We have a great team, and it's, we're very proud and very honored to be able to serve this community. It's a great community. Please come visit us anytime at the senior center too.
And the one thing that I did notice is
Yes.
that, obviously you have two positions that are getting a raise this year, right? The director's position and the coordinator.
Those are just regular non-union.
Yeah, I'm not questioning it at all. I mean, that's perfectly fine. My question actually is, why aren't the other people getting raises?
So the other positions, other than the director's role and the program coordinator's role, aside from the part-time, of course, are all union positions.
Okay,
So
and the
they're-
union negotiated no raise?
We're in
that-
negotiations
They're
now.
currently in negotiations.
So will we see
mid-cycle increase to that we
Depends on negotiations.
should we be allocating for? I think that's the question. That's something we'll have to debate later.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, so I hope that's clear. Everybody, so those are my municipal agents, the two municipal agents, the two bus drivers, and the office coordinator. The full-time office coordinator, those are all union positions.
Right.
And then the rest are part-time, and myself, the part-timers, and then myself and Jeanette are non-union.
Right.
Any other questions for Jasmine?
Oh, just one comment.
What? Walter?
Yes,
Oh,
Mr.
sorry,
Bear.
Walter, didn't see you.
I'm gonna have to break fast.
Okay,
March 16th, are you really gonna have green beer?
we are. And the
Okay.
mayor and the chief
I'm
of police
coming
have
down.
signed off on it.
I'm coming down.
So I will let you know, though, Mayor, I
I'm
will let you
gonna
know.
break fast.
I know that.
March
Mr.
16th.
Mr. Bear, I
I'll
will
be
let you
there,
know.
Jasmine.
We'll serve lunch at 12
All
o'clock
right.
with corned beef and cabbage after the lunch is served, because technically beer is not part of the menu. 1 o'clock is when we'll be
1
opening
o'clock,
up the
all right.
beers. So if you would like to come at 1, but if you'd like to come at noon, we'll have lunch, and then, just wait a little bit, and then we'll have
I'm
beer
on.
at 1. I'll sign you
Mark
up.
me down.
Write you down? You
All
got
right.
it.
I just want to say, I forgot to say this, Jasmine, is that everybody there does a great job, but I really have to say that you made a great decision with Jeanette. She's
Thank you.
not only very personable and hilarious and a good entertainer, but she's very good at the program coordinating.
She's really stepped up, and if you do take a moment to flip through our newsletters, I gave you a quick snapshot of just February and March of all the programs that we have to offer, and let me tell you how robust our calendar has been since bringing Jeanette along. So she's really
Absolutely.
been a fantastic fit. The seniors love her, and yeah, exactly, she entertains us. So
She really has every possible talent so far I've seen.
thank you.
Any other questions for Jasmine? Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
And Joe,
Thank you.
and Joe,
Thanks.
to answer your question.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Oh, Thomas Zito's on. To answer your question concerning negotiations, in our fringe benefits line, there's money that Greg put aside for that when we do so. Okay, next is land use. Jim and Laura.
Second here to bring this up. How do we go back out of this?
Just X out.
Yep. And a few other things. All right, and then slideshow from the beginning. All right. Good evening, Mayor, Town Council members, Board of Finance members. My name is James Furl. I'm the Wetlands Enforcement Officer. With me tonight is Laura Regan, who is Zoning Enforcement Officer, Planner, and a few other titles that go along with that. We all have multiple hats down there because we actually cover 5 separate commissions. We cover Aquifer Protection, Inland Wetlands, the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Zoning. So we're a little busy down there with our 4-person staff. We cover the entire town, as Jasmine pointed out. It's the largest town in the state of Connecticut. We take a look at all the different properties that are there, both commercial and residential properties that we look for all of these different requirements that are there. Our 2002-2003 revised budget was $300,064,848. Our proposed budget is $379,787 this year. How that breaks down, maybe? Okay. How that breaks down, personnel. Our personnel department is $325,787. We have an Ask Me Overtime line, which is $1,000. We have a consultants line of $10,000. We have contractual self-sustaining, which means we get reimbursed for the monies we utilize out of this. We have a $30,000 hold in that particular location. Legal notices, $8,000, and materials and supplies are $5,000. All right, our land use revenue. We're looking at a revenue of $70,000 for zoning permit and application fees. Our ZBA fees are approximately $3,000 we're anticipating in revenue. Zoning engineering reviewing fees, $20,000. That's a portion of that offset for self-sustaining. Our planning and subdivision application fees, approximately $1,000, since not too many people have been coming with subdivisions in the last several years. That number is reduced. Wetlands permit and application fees of about $18,000. And wetland significant activity fees is approximately $10,000, which is also a part of that self-sustaining account. So a couple of things I want to bring to your attention with this. The only increase in our budget this year is our increase to our personnel line. The land use department, our biggest asset to this community is our personnel. We don't have programs, we don't do things. We deal with people permitting and getting them their requirements done for all of those different legal agencies, some of which are mandated by the state of Connecticut, some are local requirements. Our other line items are capable of remaining flat because a lot of required training for wetlands and water courses and now the new zoning training, which is coming down the pipeline. On ZBA and planning will all now have to take courses. Connecticut Clear has stepped in to do those courses try and do those courses online for free. So where we used to be, the Wetlands Commission has had to take courses for the last 15 years. So we have a well-vetted system, but they have now transferred at least the classes 1 and 2 to online free of charge for all those members. So we used to pay $60 for every single time they went out and took these courses. Now we don't have to pay anything for those two. The only courses we have to pay for are those that are the in-person courses that staff has to take and one member of the Wetlands Commission has to take to keep our designated agent approvals requirements pursuant to state statute. Then our workflow has gone a lot more digital as well as being online. So we're getting a lot less requests for copies, for other things like that. So we've been able to keep this line item, even though prices are going up for materials and supplies, we've been able to keep this line item flat because we're actually using less materials and supplies as we are sending things out more digitally, or people can answer their own questions by looking all of the different permit aspects up online. So if we can load it or the applicant loads on these things on, they're getting their answers right there. So it cuts down on a lot of our materials and supplies of having to copy things and send things and things like that out to people. We still have to do some of that. We can never get away from paper. We have a mandatory requirement to maintain paper copies and requirements of the state of Connecticut for FOI information. Legal notices are mandated by the state and are based on the spectrum's current cost. The one thing I need to tell this commission right now is this could change dramatically if there are changes in state statute or if the spectrum no longer becomes a viable paper by whatever the legal requirements are. If they cut out going to Gaylordsville to shorten up their area or something like that, then it's not a paper that serves the town of New Milford. The spectrum has the lowest prices right now of any of the papers out there. This would double or triple very quickly if we have to go to either Waterbury Republican or Danbury News Times. And that's not going to be just for land use, that's for anybody, any commission that has to do legal notices. Office space is starting to become a concern of our agencies. If you've ever been down to our office, we're practically tripping over the filing cabinets. But we have to maintain hard copies of all of our different requirements. And we have a record retention requirement of minimum of 10 years for supplemental plans. So if a person comes in with one set of plans, modifies it, we have to keep all 3 sets of those plans for a minimum of 10 years. That final approved set, and then anything else supplement to that, the final as-built, the foundations, et cetera, have to be kept in perpetuity. So we have those requirements coming up as well. And where did this one go? All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to Laura Regan, since you've probably heard enough of me talking here.
Yeah, and I'm really not going to talk too much on this slide because I think it's self-explanatory. It's just kind of showing you the trends that we've gone through the last couple of years. In hindsight, I was thinking we probably should have had a 2018-19 on there to kind of show pre-COVID, because there was a big jump in that 2019-20 revenue. I think our fees prior to that year were around 40 to 50,000 collected. So you can see a big jump right now. For this year, it's only 6 months, so you can see we're a little low because we're just starting our busy season. This is spring, so this is when everyone's starting to come in. So in terms of trends, we're still seeing a lot of activity. The housing market is where I'm starting to see a little slowdown. But other than that, we are still super busy down there and are just trying to stay afloat. So if you have any questions.
One thing I do want to point out that's up on this slide, I think this is the pointer, maybe. There we go. That number right there, you know, we might be looking at doing $70,000. If you look at the previous 2 years, we're roughly around that requirement, even though it's bumped up a little bit. That we don't always get something like the ball fields associated with Canterbury. That was a $10 million project that they put in. So you're going to occasionally see these application fees get skewed by one project. And that's what came in. You'll also see that askew in the building department, I think, as well. So you have to understand that it's based upon cost of constructions, although that's not a building, the bleachers and things like that all cap, but land use also gets to charge out the cost of the ball field and things like that as well. So that's why you see that very large discrepancy in that. And we're not anticipating we haven't approved anything of that magnitude that you could potentially pull a zoning permit in the next year. So I just wanted to point that out to you before we open up the floor to questions.
Any questions for Laura or Jim? Katie?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Laura. Jim, just a quick question. I know you have to keep all the drawings. Do you have to keep them right there in that office? I realize it's crowded there.
We do not necessarily need to keep them in the office, but we do need to keep them available. The thing is having them on hand is very handy when somebody walks in the door because they really want to know about different projects, etc. When people are doing research on and I understand where you're going, the bigger project, but I still have people coming back in and saying, can I see the 3 boxes of Dunham Farm?
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of difficult to say, well, come back tomorrow. It's not necessarily what I would consider very friendly in the atmosphere for that. Not everybody gives us a call ahead of time and says, I'd like to come in and take a look at this or something like that. We have an awful lot of people walk into town hall and expect that information to be available to them. At this juncture, with the exception of a couple of files, that is available for them to, here you go, please keep it in order.
Take a look. Yeah. And so you're still in that same room with all those file cabinets and some more.
We have now 3 rooms with file cabinets.
That's what I thought.
And from my perspective, I access zoning historical information on
Right.
a regular basis because of nonconformities. I have to know what was approved previously, what was there prior to the adoption of zoning.
Right.
So I'm in those historical files daily.
And then the flat files are out in the hallway, right?
The subdivision ones, we moved those into the back.
They're in
Oh,
the
you
back
did?
room now, yeah.
back map copier room.
Because we opened up the ability for people to come in and do online permitting.
That's good. Thanks.
Any other
Good job.
questions for Joe?
So just relating to the files, if the files just have to be available, could you keep them as digital files?
Again, we have a specific regulatory retention requirement for paper copies of final as-built and things like that, and 10 years. Anything with a court case, any minutes, motions, things like that. There's a very specific requirement that we have. And every year we go through and we fill out paperwork going, okay, we're going to get rid of the extra stuff in this particular file. We're going to get rid of the extra stuff in this file. We fill out that paperwork. The mayor signs it. It goes to the records retention people at the state of Connecticut, and then we can dispose of it properly. So although we keep a lot of stuff in digital, and some of the stuff after 10 years can potentially go digital, now you're talking about who's actually going to then scan it and put it into digital files.
Right.
Okay, we just do not have the time. We have 4 people running 5 commissions. We do not have the time downstairs we're lucky to be able to shrink down the items right now. Now, if we bring in an area that we pull out and work on that, no problem. I don't have a problem with that at all. That could potentially help us.
is that paper records, and I know we're supposed to stay on budgetary questions, but I'm headed in a direction, right? With the digital filings, right? Like when I applied for a permit to do a renovation on my house, I just logged onto the computer and sent all the files in there. You don't then print out copies of everything that I sent,
No,
right?
you're required to give us a hard copy of that so we could put it in the file.
General zoning permit applications, no. Anything that goes to a commission, we do need full-size hard copies.
And those full-size hard copies then have to get, that's a problematic.
Yes. Even during
requirement.
COVID, when we eliminated the in-person meetings, the public acts or the emergency orders still said you had to still maintain and create a paper record.
So how much space do you need? What is how much more space do you
Again, right now, we're not looking at anything in this budgetary item to make those spaces or anything else like that. I'm giving you a forethought of what might come down the line. And if we get to, 100, 500 applications in the next 6 months, then we might have to step in and do something about it and be back before these boards. But I think it's something to bring up to you while we're talking about budgets and about space and things like that we're running out of space fairly quickly.
And you said you could use an extra set of hands, right? Mm-hmm. What does that look like as a budgetary ask?
Well, to be honest with you, what we need to do is take some pressure off of Laura. Being a town planner and a zoning enforcement officer.
I do a lot of work on nights and weekends just to stay afloat.
And then she's got a lot of the administrative stuff that she is as land use supervisor as well. We need to take some of the pressure off of that. We need another person to deal with the zoning enforcement, with the regulations, with the smaller stuff. Let her concentrate on the bigger projects, etc. Right now, obviously, at a tight budget year, that's not the place to go. We'll work our way through it. We have a really good team right now. We work exceptionally well together. We all are trained. We're all very well versed in that. If we start losing players there, we might have to bring in additional help, a part-time person or even a full-time person. That could be both wetland zoning, aquifer protection, all of these different groups, because they're all different regulations that we all have to learn and intercoordinate with each other.
So would it be planning, like a planner again that would be helpful, or would it be an administrative assistant sort of role? Like I'm trying to kind of figure out
Well, it depends again. That's something we need to sit down and discuss. If you want to bring a planner in, then certain sections disappear off the planning side.
Right.
If you want the planner and the ZEO to remain at the same location, you'd bring somebody else underneath that to relieve the daily operations so the general public gets their answers, their responses, their permits in a timely manner.
And that's still a moderately trained, relatively skilled position. That's not like after school, high school student.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's it.
No, you would have to be a professional. You would have to get your Casio license. You would have to get your wetlands license. So you'd have to meet the state criteria for training.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You need Superwoman.
Volunteering, Katie?
Yeah.
You sure?
That's a joke.
You've been there
We miss
before.
you.
That's a joke for Laura.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Next is,
Thank you very much.
Next, Fire Marshal, Kevin?
All right, why don't you just do yours first, Fire Marshal, and then I'll follow you up. You're on screen, you just have to hit the slideshow.
What's that?
It's not an easy mouse to use.
Good evening, everybody. There's very few changes in the budget. Fire marshal salary went up approximately $1,000. Thank you. The assistant fire marshal, which is a union position, that's going to change depending on negotiations, along with the office coordinator. That's in a union position as well. And then materials and supplies, they stayed the same. The special supplies
That went up $1,000, and that $1,000 is to be used for smoke detection or carbon monoxide detections for people that don't have them. When we go out to do an inspection, they don't have them, we supply them for them. And then computer software just went up $50 to round it off. Overtime staying the same. Professional development is staying the same. Training went up $2,000. Being on the safety committee, there's been a lot of inquiries through the safety committee about training employees that want to be trained on CPR and AED, the use of it. Firm believer in it. Speaking with the mayor, that's why the $2,000 is in there. Any questions?
Questions for Kevin? Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
Next, we're going to ask Jim to come back up again for emergency
Thank you very
management.
much.
You got it.
Oh, is that the end?
Barbara, do you have a question? Okay, never mind.
I have a question, Mrs. Hillary, on the phone.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
The way that our budget reads, I'm sorry, just maybe it's different on the screen there that I'm not seeing, but the way that our budget reads, the salary increase went from 80 to 90,000. Is that what I just heard was different?
Went from 86,000 to 87,000, the $1,000 increase. And then there's, I don't take the town insurance, so I'm entitled to the $4,000 opt-out part of it.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the way it reads here is just misleading. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Jim, the emergency management.
Give me 1 second to bring another one up.
That didn't make sense.
No, it didn't. Wait, there's something wrong. Wait a second.
Well, I think there's,
It's not, it's
So
not your
what-
fault, Kevin. It's, the book is wrong, right? Could you go back to the, what did you say the salary, Kevin, was for this year coming up?
Went from 86,000 to 87,000, the base salary.
Okay, so we show 80,504 up to 91,
Yeah.
It's gotta be a
right?
typo
Is that
or
what
something.
Hillary's seeing too? Yes, of course you would.
so the 2023 should have been 86,050
50.
plus a $4,000 insurance opt-out.
How did that get like?
Will these be included with the budget or something in the minutes, the slides?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, because I'm gonna forget that.
So how did this get?
We'll ask Greg.
I think we have
He's
to
not
point
here.
this out to Greg. This
Is
is
it,
our first one that's really off.
Well,
Thanks, Kevin.
66.
All right, I know that it's, good evening again. My name is James Furlow. I'm also the Emergency Management Director for the town of New Milford, and Kevin Reynolds is my Deputy Emergency Management Director. Give me a moment to pull up the slideshow. All right, our budget is basically stipends for the Emergency Management Director and the Deputy Emergency Management Director, general equipment, communication, the radios, the cell phone, our hotspots, things that we need during emergency scenarios, and stuff we also use on an everyday basis. The current budget right now is $19,000. The current amount utilized so far is $8,038, and our requested budget is again $19,000. No increase in requested in the budget in the last 3 years. We're in the process of establishing a permanent home for the Emergency Operations Center. We're working with DPW right now on potentially looking at getting into the Century Brass Development rebuild to have our own place down there. We were nice enough to actually obtain a room for storage during COVID down at Pettibone. And that's where we stored our masks. That's where we ran all of our emergency operations, our test kits out of, et cetera. It's also got emergency food supplies and MREs. It's also got some water there. It's got some sanitary supplies associated with that. Last year, we were able to purchase 8 generators, small portable generators. One of the biggest issues we were running into is all these people that are on oxygen now. The minute the power goes out, they have 1 hour of oxygen. They're no longer on bottles or anything else on that. They're on oxygen generation machines, which only have an hour or 2 hours worth of an oxygen surplus. So we're finding out, and we found out very quickly during ICAS, is 1 hour into the event, we were getting calls about people running out of oxygen. And our only matter of recourse was send an ambulance and take them down to the hospital or someplace else that's got the capabilities of dealing with people with special needs. So with that, we wanted to give ourselves a little bit more time to have them either be picked up by family members or get to a safe location, et cetera. We purchased some interim generators, portable generators that the fire department and or our department or public works can get out to these people to run their major medical equipment. It's not going to run their house or anything else like that, but it will certainly run their oxygen dependent machines or any other machines that they need to be run for medical emergencies. So we had a very good benefit to be able to purchase 8 of those and have them available. 3 were actually distributed out to the fire departments during yesterday's storm events. Thankfully, we didn't need to pull them out because we didn't get the high winds that some people were predicting. So we were very lucky with that. We've, in the past, we've operated from a couple of different locations. We've also looked at potentially utilizing a portion of the senior center. This would not be what we would need at that point in time would be to just walk into their computer room, take over their computer room, and just start bringing everything up. We could have a dual use, et cetera. The only problem with that is the computer room is not on a generator. So we've got to really watch that because that has a very limited generator for that building. It only runs the first floor. It does not run any of the other ancillary floors or anything else like that. So that's what our budget is, and I don't know if you have any specific questions at this juncture.
Any questions for Jim on emergency management? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Jim?
Hi, this is Barb. I have a quick question about, could you repeat the amendment you made to the fire marshal numbers for the salary?
Oh, the slide showed a salary for last year of $86,050, and then because he doesn't utilize the health insurance, he also gets a $4,000 health insurance stipend. So that put us at $90,050, and then he got the raise would be whatever the balance is to 91.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Mr. Mankin, Sullivan Farm.
It was that simple.
Oh, look at that.
It was amazing.
Here, let me make it big. There you go.
So this year's budget is actually a bit less than last year. There's an increase in personnel, and it's basically due to the 5th year of the minimum wage increase. Everything else basically stays the same. The materials and supplies, self-sustaining, basically take care of the buildings on the property, the equipment that we have, containers. Self-sustaining also handles some of the interns that work for us. It's offset by the 80,000 that we anticipate making off of the products that we develop up there. As we explained to the town council a month ago, in addition to running the farm with a group of high school and college kids, we're going back to our pre-pandemic goals, which is basically education. As an example, starting Friday, we have the first of 465 students in the next 3 weeks that will be coming to the farm to go through a program on maple syruping. It runs the gambit from elementary schools, Sacred Heart University, a couple of farms that are interested in developing maple syrup, which we'll try to talk them out of. And then we move into spring programming, and we'll continue during the course of the year. We're also doing a series of videos on various aspects of agriculture, primarily focused on an adult population. The last 5 that we did this fall garnered 1,600 complete views. So they were fairly well, receptive. We do the Maple Syrup Festival in 3 weeks. We will probably be boiling water again. And then we're going to do a blacksmithing weekend in May, where we're going to have about 24 blacksmiths come in. They bring their own portable forges in. I've seen it done up at the Shaker Village in Hancock, and it's very, very popular. So that's going to be a primary focus on what we do this year up there.
Any
That's
questions for Mark?
Yes.
All right, Mark. Blacksmithing is cool to watch. Have you ever watched them?
We have a
That- that's one
blacksmith
thing.
shop up there.
Yeah. They do it at the Goshen Stampede. So
Yes, yeah.
Are you guys gonna do a competition?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be more an opportunity for these guys to pound metal and then sell their material.
And we're gonna get a cut?
Yeah.
Excellent. Love it. As far as the budget, you did address the increase in the state mandated personnel, right? Materials and supplies is staying the same. I'm a little disappointed that the self-sustaining portion is going. Are you cutting something from the program?
We're anticipating the basic fact that we're probably not going to do as well as we did this past year, and it's primarily climate change.
Okay.
We're seeing this in maple syruping already.
Right.
We're going to probably have some problems with some of the crops also. Those light rains that you had 5 years ago every afternoon, they're torrential now.
Right.
They just rip plants out of the ground.
Yeah.
Public Works put in a nice bridge for us because we lost the bridge that takes us out to the back fields. Drought, the heat, it just, it's very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. But what are you gonna do?
You can't do anything.
You can't
You
do
just-
anything.
Yeah. We're going to actually grow peanuts this year.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Our climate's slowly becoming North Carolina's.
Okay.
So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. But hey, may as well. What's the worst that happens?
Yeah,
right?
they're very popular.
Yeah.
Katie?
Thank you, Mark, for everything you do. And yes, our zones across the country are changing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes. Even the growing, they have to do that. They have to start changing those.
Yeah, they have in
growing
some of
zones.
the, it depends on what flowers, they've done it with shrubs. What I wanted to say is, I do hope that you are able to bring forth as many tomatoes this summer as you did last summer, okay?
You're pretty well set. We work with Park down in South Carolina. They bring the plants up. I think we have 1,200 tomato plants
Good,
coming.
good.
So you will have more than
They were
enough
coming out the
marinara.
door there. No,
Yes.
did a great job, and the guys, everybody does a great job there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mark?
Where's his huge salary?
Excuse me?
Where's
Yeah.
your huge salary?
I believe that dollar is somewhere in that 80,000. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you again, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you to all the guys up there. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, next is DPW. Jack?
Where are you gonna start, Jay?
I got it, I think. If not, I'll ask for help. There we go. Good evening. And thank you for the chance to present to you this year for the budget. Before I start, because I don't want to forget to do this, because they're the ones who do all the work, I just want to identify all the people who work for public, not everybody, but the office staff and the ones who work and manage all the projects. So the office staff, tonight I have with me Lorraine Beatty. I have Mike Boucher, who's the highway foreman, and Dave Martin, who's in charge of facilities. Besides them, we have a staff who does an awful lot of work to try to support all of the functions of the town that we're asked to work on. Mark Rosa, he comes to us. He's a highway engineer and a bridge engineer who came to us from Putnam County. We have Jason Hyde, who's been down there, is a wealth of knowledge, probably knows more about our files and roads than anybody else in the department. We have Jim Gron, who is a relatively new person to our department. He replaced a 30-year retiree. Jim is now doing most of our inspections. And it also will be out on the road projects this year. He will be managing one of the 2 contractors. We have a brand new engineer who came to us this year after Dan McPhee retired, Brittany Harrington. Brittany has worked in other towns in their public works department. She is a engineer from University of Hartford and will be studying for her professional engineering license. Nia Dubray is who's the person when you call, you get at the phone and does all our office management, make sure things get put away. And currently, we've had her for 3 days. We have Juliana Rella. She is the intern. She is the 7th intern we've had over the last 2 or 3 years.
That's great.
Juliana's from Worcester Polytech, and she's in her junior year. Helping Mike is Chuck Ballard. Chuck came to us from Wallingford. He's been in public works for quite a while. Has brought a very good group of talent. He is also studying for his engineering degree currently, and he is the deputy for Mike Boucher. And with Dave, we have Joey Baines, who helps Dave manage the facilities. I want to put up there, we have a mission statement, and we do. We try to do this. We try to provide top quality, professional, effective, and timely services to residents, businesses, and all of our customers. A lot of our customers are just our internal, our members of the town staff. We do this by focusing on relationships with ourselves, our customers, and on customer service and satisfaction, and thus improving our image and maintaining the community's trust. We support and enhance a high quality of life for the town's residents, businesses, and visitors by providing well-planned, environmentally sensitive, cost-effective infrastructure and services to promote public health, personal safety, transportation, economic growth, and civic vitality. And what we do each year, I think each year the mayor and I, we meet every Friday, but we're trying to expand, we are working to expand what we do to provide services on an effective, cost-effective basis. We are looking at new technologies, and as we have older staff retire, we are now bringing in new talent, and based on the equipment that we have and the technologies we're implementing, I think we're bringing in new and very good talent to our department. We have a couple different departments within Public Works, and the first one is the Highway Department, and Mike is the head of that. I think they do an outstanding job. I didn't say it previously, but I think that the Milford Public Works Department is probably the best in the state. The mayor and I have worked together. We are striving to achieve that. We're working to get our accreditations through APWA. We want to set the standard for public works departments. Currently, as you know, you have the largest landmass in the state of Connecticut. We also have 200 miles of paved roads and 26 miles of gravel roads. The other part of that doesn't show on here, you also have New Milford has a very varied climate. You have everything from down the south end of the town at Route 7, which can be warm and raining, and then you go up to Geiger Road and you're into a raging blizzard. So it presents an issue for Mike. It does for the staff. So we always try to make sure we're in communication and that we're providing the services you need in the areas that you need them. We have 63 bridges, and these bridges require attention. They require replacement. Currently, we have several bridge projects that we finished 5 repairs or replacements in the last year and a half. We have currently 9 more on the books with the state of Connecticut. That may seem like a lot. Based on the programs the state puts forth, I believe 6 of those projects will be entirely funded by the state of Connecticut. They have grants available to us that we work through, including the engineering. We sign up and they do the engineering, they work with the town. The other 3 are 50-50 bridges that we, based on the size, that we have to fund 50% and the state funds 50%. We're constantly looking at drainage systems. One of the first things when I came to work, the mayor talked to me about was we have a lot of areas where you have older roads that you get water out in the wintertime and causes ice to form on the road. And it takes a lot of manpower to go out, scrape it up, put salt on it. Over the last 4 years, we have what we call ice projects, and you may see us out putting pipes along the side of the road, digging up the edge of the road, and you're saying, why are they doing that? If you go back in the wintertime, you'll notice that there's a lot less water coming onto your roads. It doesn't get under the road, doesn't make the road buckle, and it makes it safer for people to drive on. We are looking at sidewalks. Currently, there is a project for Route 7 to put in to go from south of the high school all the way up to Pettibone School with new sidewalks and new crosswalks to make it safer, including bus enclosures so that when a person's standing out there for a bus, they aren't standing out on the side of the road. I'm driving one day down to the high school. I spent a little time there this last summer, and it's raining, and I see a person standing on the side of the road. You probably know what I'm talking about. And there's a sign, and that's it, and a little bit of a mud path on the side of the road, and that person's waiting for the bus. So we talked about when we're doing our project for the sidewalks down that way, we will be putting a bus enclosure for that person, making it safer for people to go to the bus stop and catch the bus.
Great.
We've also Mike and the crew have done a great job. We purchased a truck for tree management. We have a bucket truck, a trained staff. We do a lot of our own tree removal now, and that makes it safer for people on the road. But it also means that you may lose power less often because you don't have trees coming down the wires. Mike keeps track of the trees. He goes out and marks them and identifies the area. We look at a storm and see where we have problems in the past, and we try to eliminate the trees in those areas. We have, 200 miles of roads. Got a lot of dead ash trees out there right now, and so we have to keep after those. Winter maintenance and snow removal. I was really happy until about 2 days ago. I thought this winter was great, and it's still a minor event. We're doing well. We get to this time of year, it snows and it melts pretty quickly. But I think we've been able to acquire new trucks in the last few years. That helps us so they don't break down as frequently. We have a very well-trained staff that get out and maintain the roads. I think we do as good a job as anybody in the state when it comes to doing that. I know we get compliments from people that our roads are a lot of times better than the state roads. So I think that they do a good job. They get out, they attack the problem, and they're ahead of it so that you have safe roads to drive on. Emergency response, we go out when required by the fire marshal or Jim Furlow asks us for help. We go out and we do emergency response and help them when needed. And we also have a vehicle and equipment management team. We had a couple retirements there in the last year, so we had some staff apply. I think they're doing a great job. They've taken the department, they've changed the way it's done. They made it their own, and they're doing a good job now looking at preventive maintenance on all the trucks and all the vehicles. The facility staff, again, I can't say enough about our facility staff. I mean, over the last few years through COVID and everything, I hope you all saw, they put up all the panels that were needed. The mayor asked us one day, he needed to put a couple refrigerators down at JPCC. Within a couple days, Dave and his staff had put up a room down there, put air conditioning in it, made it so that we could conduct the clinics down there. Just recently, they got the library ready for opening. I can tell you that I went up and I saw Dave himself up there on his hands and knees cleaning the floor with the vacuum. The mayor and I both told him, we'll hire somebody to come in. The staff wouldn't let us. They wanted to do it themselves. They wanted to show the town what they could do. I hope you were able to go and see what a good job they did cleaning it and getting it ready for opening. They do street light maintenance for us. They check all the street lights, make sure that they're operating properly. They do security and fire protection, make sure that our buildings are safe, and they monitor all the emergency lighting. Something that we've expanded on the last year and a half, the radio tower facility maintenance. That was an area that before it was sort of in limbo. Nobody had really said that they were responsible for it. Dave would get a call to go up and look at it, and so we came to the mayor. We asked him if we could put in our budget. We've added money to our budget, and this last year we've got all of the generators going, the air conditioning. There are actually air conditioning units on the towers. We have all those operating properly. They're inspected, and actually they've actually expended almost all the money this year because of the necessary repairs that had to be done. They're involved with energy management. We have a large energy management project going currently. They're involved with that. They inspect the work. They work closely with the contractor, make sure that the equipment's going in properly. They also look after town roof projects, and what are we doing, Dave, this next week?
Well, we have, as far as the roof goes,
The ice protection.
yeah, we're putting heat tape on the new roof because we should have it there because when the snow often comes down onto the valley and it's a tall building, and now with the new metal roof, we just want to make sure that the metal roof lasts as long as possible. So we're going to get some heat tape on there, and so it melts away the ice and snow.
In addition to that, Dave has been working with Silver Petrocelli. They've been conducting roof inspections on the town roofs so that we can classify them, tell you when they, where are we in the age of the roof? How do we manage it? Are we able to project out 5 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, that we're going to have to replace a roof? I know when I was with Ingersoll Rand, I would be able to tell you all 100 plants when I was going to do a roof. We'd have a 20-year plan so that we would know when the roofs are going to be changed. We're doing that here. We're inspecting them, and we're going to have a plan so that we know when a roof has to be replaced. And they've worked on the Max over the last year. I hope you've gone there, and they've done a lot of work in cleaning it. They changed the bathrooms. They did a lot of work in the kitchen area. They just put in a new refrigerator, dishwasher. Those are new freezers that they purchased and put in, so that they've really tried to make the Max a place that somebody would want to rent and come and use for the town. And the last thing was, they are also now staffing up and looking at a preventive maintenance system for the library. You've invested in a very nice new building. With that comes new mechanical systems, new electrical systems that require maintenance. There's more filters than there used to be. Higher quality air inside, so they are working on a preventive maintenance plan. We just met yesterday to work on our budget to see how we're going to maintain that building as we go forward. The engineering staff. 4 years ago, we would hire outside consultants to do a lot of the engineering for us. It added between $250,000 and $400,000 to the budget to have the outside engineering staff come and work do the inspections, do the engineering design. We've brought that all in-house with the staff that we have now, and we do it. I think it's a good thing. It gets our staff invested in our roads. They go out. They've been out for the last week with cameras, looking down the pipes, taking checks on the roads, seeing what we need to do, make sure that we have enough pipe in place, enough catch basin tops. Believe it or not, we're started. Our road work has started as of last week. We're looking to have a contractor start doing drainage shortly. We're getting ready to do probably another 8 to 9 miles of roads reclaim and rebuilt this year. Just to reclaim and rebuild, never mind the chip seal or anything like that. We've got several drainage projects planned to go in place, continuing on with the ice program so that the roads stay in good shape. And as part of this, it's also now, I'm into my 5th summer here. And so now it's starting to shift gears for me, more for me than them, to start looking at the preventive maintenance. We should be in a maintenance program now. Not a reactionary, a proactive mode, not a reactionary mode. So the roads that we did 6 or 7 years ago, we will be evaluating to see whether or not we should do a chip seal on them, whether we should do a fog seal on them, so that we preserve those roads and make those roads last 20 years, so that you don't have to come back and replace them immediately. The bridges, I talked to you before, we have several bridges going on. Upland Road Bridge is scheduled to go this year. Brookside Road, Brook Road Bridge is ready to go. We have to get an Army Corps of Engineer permit, but we're almost at that point. Drainage projects, there are many in the works. Sidewalks, right now we're looking at a plan to upgrade the sidewalks on Housatonic, West Street, and Grove Street. We've been talking with the mayor. He would like to see those, make it so the town's more walkable, so you can get around. We added the sidewalks a couple years ago down Patriots Way to make a circle there. Now we're trying to branch out and go into other areas so people can walk and get to downtown when they want to, or go over to Big Y, or over to the Meadows across the street. We do facilities design. We do inspections. I probably spent a lot of time at the high school in the last year. We did a little bit of help. We just supported the library near the end of the project to help just finish up that part of the project. So we do facilities design work when we have to. We have a large energy projects going on. We're into our last, it's supposed to be done by October. The town's invested $15 million worth of capital into that. Well, it's a loan program. And we'll be finishing that up by October. And that should reduce, it's a guaranteed savings. And we're working, the first year was paid for with grants and paybacks. I think we're almost done getting the money for the second year back. I think the mayor has that, we're just about done with it, I think, Mayor, on that fees. So we already got the savings for the first 2 years. Project management design, that's predominantly what we do in the staff. Construction management, inspection. We get involved with residential service, just doing permits, driveway permits. We work with inland wetlands, we work with zoning to do some review for them. And we work on contract administration. I spend a lot of time with Valerie working on the procurement now, setting up specifications and bids. So anyway, in summary, this year we're going to strive to do the best by implementing APWA accredited management systems, being proactive in maintaining the town's infrastructure. We're going to, as I said, we should be shifting shortly into being proactive, not reactive, so that over the next few years, you should be able to look at a road and say, okay, we did Fordyce Road 4 years ago. And maybe, next year or the following year, we have to do a chip seal or fog seal on it to preserve that road. We have that list of roads and we'll be doing that. So as you go forward, it's already identified and we can keep our plan so it doesn't fluctuate much. We want to be courteous. I know we get a lot of, after a snowstorm, we get a lot of calls. And, I wish they were all that, everything was great, but it was, sometimes the mailbox get hit or something like that. But I think that we do a good job in responding. We go out, we talk with the residents. It's not always easy, and you're not always going to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to fix it for you. But I think we go out and we try to do that. I think Mike does a great job responding normally within a very short time period, either on the phone or by an email, just making sure they know that we've got their report and we're looking at it. So anyway, thank you. The one thing it's not on here, and I just did before I came. Our budget for the 2022-2023 total, and you have all the detail, was $8,004,159.27. I'm not sure why the 27 cents was there. I got $8,004,159.27.
8,000,000.
I just took all the pages out of them up.
159.
This year, what we're proposing and what the mayor's gone through and we've talked about, we are proposing a budget of $8,046,388. That's a 0.53% increase. And I will tell you, some of that is because you have invested in your equipment. You had some excess funds this year. You invested in your trucks and things like that. So we were able to move around and do some things on the capital side. The majority of that increase is in two places. It's $75,000 that we have put in for the eventuality that we have to do some work at East Street School. And the other is $50,000 we put in because previously we didn't manage all of the aspects of the library. And so we put some money into there so we can make sure we have filters, maintenance programs, and everything that we need there. So that was an estimate on my part on what we needed. Talked to the mayor about it, and we put it in. So that first 125,000 are those two numbers. And with that, again, I have Lorraine and Mike and Dave here. So if you have any questions,
Katie?
Thank you very much, Jack, and everybody else. You do a great job with everything, all the roads. And I just have to say that two things for Mike and your crew. A lot of trees came down in this past year during outage and whatever before Christmas. And I am beyond impressed with how quickly, when I call up and say, there's a huge tree across the road, that somebody shows and not only cuts it up, but they come back the next day and clean up all the pieces that were on the side of the road. I don't know how you do it, but thank you. And Dave, I've already said it to you, but what you guys did in the library on in a short time span before the opening was really amazing. And I thank you for the work you did, which we all, not that you don't do that all the time, but it was a little exceptional to see you there. Yeah, but thanks. Everybody does a good job there. You know that, Jack.
Joe?
Jack. Thank you, sir. And I have to say, I was just going, I was going to ask you about the overall totals. I think you probably anticipated that, right? That's because that's really like having it split up, in the budget book. It's like very difficult to kind of wrap your brain around the big picture, So and I haven't had a chance to do that, so it's very helpful. But that's only a $42,000 increase. And then you're saying that if we removed the two driving factors for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Which is $125,000 on the other way. I mean, that's still like a $75,000, roughly, right? $78,000 savings or something like that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Your budget would have actually gone down this year. And in the equipment capital expenditures, I do see that last year you were at $360,000. This year at $80,000, and there's some other things in there that I haven't quite gotten to yet. In terms of the personnel, I'm again looking at the budget numbers, not seeing a whole lot of salary increases. I'm assuming those are predominantly, as we've discussed previously tonight,
Yes.
union employees, and they're
In negotiation.
and they're currently in negotiation. Okay, thank you.
Diane?
Bad timing to take a sip of my Pellegrino. Jack, great job. Everyone, fabulous job. So question about the tree removal and trimming line. You have $175,000 in it for this year and also the same for last year. So I'm just curious, knowing that we approved some trucks and equipment to chip and all of that, does this line include what we paid to other providers?
Yes.
Okay.
That's primarily what that's for.
Okay, so it's staying the same this year
Yep.
and last year. At what point do you think we might see a savings in that line?
Mike, you're closer to it.
I honestly can't answer that because, we're not even close to being done with the amount of trees that need to come down in this town. So, being able to use a contractor is huge. We have our bucket truck and then I have a contractor. Like, we're preparing to pave roads this year. So I've sent the contractor out now. They are on their second road where they're just clearing back the trees and overhead stuff. That frees up my crew to do what they're supposed to do. So, I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question just yet.
Okay.
We brought the budget down 2 years ago when we bought the bucket truck.
Right.
And Diane, we have the largest tree canopy in the state.
Oh, it's
We're the largest
tremendous,
one.
I'm sure, yeah.
And you have the Ashbourne,
Yeah.
which is devastating our right-of-ways. And you,
Spotted lantern flies
yep,
here
you
now.
have a new one that's coming out as well.
Yep.
So by harnessing both of them together, it gives us more bandwidth to get rid of some of these trees, which, especially during times of storm outages, when we first got here, we would be out immediately. And because of the work of our contractor and Mike's team, you've noticed that we do have power outages, but it's not as severe as they used to be because they were able to take down some of these trees in the right of ways.
Okay, thank you.
And also with the
But
Eversource
that budget line
helping
also
as well.
covers, like chainsaws, tools for the truck and for the crews. It covers removal of the piles that we get at Century Brass. So there's always gonna be that expense.
So perhaps we won't see a big savings in this line until we've taken care of a lot of the
I would
huge
say
tree
not
canopy that we,
yet.
Yeah.
okay.
It's gonna be
All
a few
right.
years. The emerald ash borer, and this part of the state has a lot of ash trees. You can go, if you go up and down the road, you'll be able to identify the ash trees. They're nice and straight, and then there's no branches. The thing about an ash tree is, when they die, it's not like a maple tree. A maple tree will hold its branches, an oak tree will hold its branches. An ash tree dies, it starts losing its branches. So from a town standpoint, it's a great liability. Because when your branches come, if you identify a tree as being a hazardous tree, we're supposed to remove it almost ASAP. And so Mike's out with the crew all the time doing that. All of us go around and we're tagging trees, or we're calling Mike, and we're trying to get out there so we remove these trees. It's going to be a few more years before we do that. I do want to point out one thing, and I'm going to give Mike some kudos here. You may have recently saw on the town website, we were giving away free wood. And that's because we have so much. Last year, we would have spent $50,000 in chipping that up and sending it off. This year, we got a contractor. Mike read about this on one of pages. Went out to a bid. We got a local contractor, came in with his splitter, split for $5,000, split all the wood up, made a big, was it 70 cord, you said, Mike?
It was 80 to 90 cord of wood.
And,
That's where that all went?
yeah,
I wondered, it was gone all of a sudden.
6 days.
Incredible.
yeah. Went to the residents of New Milford. And it happened to be just when you had the cold snap, so.
We'll be
it was-
ready to do it again in probably
Yeah.
4 or 5 months.
So that
I have a
was,
follow,
oh, sorry, go ahead, I was gonna.
I just have a quick follow-up question. So I didn't realize that those lantern flies were anywhere around here.
Oh, yeah.
So are we being proactive in removing the tree of life, which they sup on?
We've been I know Kathleen Nelson has sent me a lot of emails asking me to get out and look at those. And so we are going out looking for those. I mean, we'll try to attack those also, but it's just, as the mayor said, we have the largest canopy, and it's, we are constantly, I think the bucket crew is out almost every day of the week. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
And also, Diane, too, our tree crew helps with the Board of Education, too.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at the high school, inside their courtyard, there were some trees that needed to get pruned, or outside, so Mike's team did that. There was a large tree, or two that needed to take down at Hill and Plain School. So we did that. So rather than the school paying tens of thousands of dollars,
That's great.
the DPW team, bucket truck team, went ahead and did that as an in-kind service, which we've done a lot of for the Board of Education.
Excellent.
Parks or Park and Rec also.
Yep.
All with a smile. I wave to the guys, they're always waving back. They have no idea who I am, but they're waving.
Hi, Jack. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. I see your guys out all the time. How have you figured out to clone yourself? Because every department talks about what you do for them.
That's right.
And so I'm not sure, how are you going to keep this up? Because it seems like your list is getting longer. So I'm a little concerned for you, my friend.
Can I go back to the very first slide I gave you? I have the best staff. I mean, this is good, for me, it's been great to work. I have, I have three great people with me here, and everybody down at Public Works. It's a very collaborative atmosphere down there. We work together.
Sign of a good leader, giving credit to your people. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. My question on the budget is, it looks like there are fewer staff personnel. Is that true, or?
No, there should be exactly the same number that we've had. There was a mistake in our initial submission. Well, that was a mistake. We had one person leave and it didn't get included. Actually, the mayor picked up on it, sent some notes.
I saw that one, but it still looked like there were few less. Are you fully staffed?
We're fully staffed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to make sure. Okay.
What did you say, Louise?
Jack, I got a question.
Louise
on
here.
The bridges.
Thank you, Lee. I didn't know you were
Walter?
back.
I have a question. This is Barb.
Hang on one
I have a
second, Barb.
question.
Just one
Hang on one second.
Sure.
Walter?
Jack, a question on the bridges. You stated that's 100% state grant, including the
On some of them.
engineering?
On some of them. Upland will be 100% as we go forward. Sand Road will be 100%. Van Car is going to be 100%. Wheaton Road will be 100%. Housatonic will be 100%. Those are all 100% bridges. Brookside is 50%. Mariel is 50%. Chernesky, we just got a letter for Chernesky. That's a 50% bridge. We're also going to. I talked to Mark Burns at the state. We're going Grove Street and Still River. We're going to hit those early. There's a program within the state. You get 100% on maintenance. So we'll be going for an application to get 100% on the maintenance in those two bridges.
Okay. And did the grant come in before the project starts, or is it after? Or the town has to front the money for it?
This is the ones that it depends. The 100%, you get a bill, you pay the bill, and you pay the contractor. You take the bill, and there's a form that you submit to the state, and they reimburse you at, they say quickly, it takes a few months, I can tell you that. We're getting that, like on the Route 7 project, the Route 7 sidewalk, that's what we do there. That one, we're actually getting, it's 100%, so we're getting that where we go back and forth. On the 50% bridges, no, you pay up front, the entire bridge, and then they reimburse you at the end. And one of the things that Greg Ossipow and us and I know the mayor's been right with us, going after the state on, is we want to get the money back from the state and just roll it continuously into our bridge fund, and that way it's a self-sustaining fund for our bridges.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Jack? Joe?
Oh, Barbara.
Barbara's on the phone.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. Barb?
Yeah, hi. I had a question about the Pettibone roof. I understand it needs some maintenance and repairs and some work, and I was wondering if that fell under the umbrella of any of these line items. I think the last time I asked about it, when we were looking at the ARPA allocation, as I recall, there's some type of a feasibility study that you were commissioning to be done to find out the extent of the work, but I didn't see that in here either. Can you share any information on that?
Yeah, we did use some of the ARPA funds to conduct we had Silver Petrocelli come out and do a complete audit of the roof. It needs to be replaced. The initial estimate on that was about $4.7 million. My understanding is that's part of the idea, part of a discussion that the town will have about East School and Pettibone. It's something that we're looking at, but we're working with the mayor and I believe the town council on how they want to do with that.
The last part of that broke up, Jack. Could you repeat it?
It's something that I think
Sentences.
it's a town decision. I think the town's going to have some debate on what they want to do with their buildings.
Okay, but the feasibility study's been approved, right?
Yes.
There was a feasibility study done, yes.
I didn't hear the last part.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Jack? Joe?
Where are we on the road program? We're still bonding the roads?
Yes.
And that's included in the $8 million, or is that separate?
That's separate. And what we had $3.5 million that we rolled over from last year. We just met with the mayor last week. We're asking for $2 million additional for this year. And then after that goes forward in the plan.
John, what you'll see in the budget book is your amortization chart at the end of the budget. That's where the debt is.
Okay. Just curious. And then Chernisky Road, I thought that was getting paid for out of the ARPA funding.
Well, it was the temporary bridge was already paid for.
Okay.
At some point, that temporary bridge should be replaced with a permanent bridge.
Okay.
And that's where you get a 50-50 match on a permanent bridge.
Which is the 600,000 that we put in.
That's the
So at that
permanent
time-
bridge.
Right, so at that time, the estimates were about 1.2 million, which is what Jack is saying is the 50/50.
Excellent. I just wanted to.
Yeah. Katie?
Jack, you've done about 100 miles?
Well, it depends on what you include. Yeah, we've probably done about.
Well, if you've touched the road to improve it.
Yeah,
There's all
we've done
different
over
stuff.
100 miles. Yeah, between chip
Right.
sealing, fog sealing.
So
and
that's
reclaiming.
just about half or a little over half?
A little over half, yeah.
Wow. Add that to your kudos.
Well,
And all the guys and
I
Mike.
was gonna say that's.
It's amazing.
I'll give credit to Mike Rosa and Jason and all those guys. They've been out there getting sunburned and doing that.
Any other questions for Jack? Walter?
One final
Chris, can I
comment.
make a comment?
Whoop.
Okay, he's got one final comment.
Okay,
Was that one
I have
final
a
comment?
question also.
okay.
Go ahead.
So, Chris?
Oh, yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that I do truly believe we have probably one of the best public works departments around, and primarily due to the high quality people we have, like Mike and Lorene, and especially Jack with your leadership. I think with your helm, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, whether it's paving roads or during storm, getting out there and clearing the way for storms. But I truly appreciate what you guys do each and every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Did you?
One final
Walter?
comment.
We have Hillary. Do you want to have Hillary go first?
I have one question.
Hillary?
I'll wait. I don't know who's up.
You, Hillary.
Okay, I'm just wondering, I have the actuals from 2022. So for the public works, you only spent 60% of budget. Does that sound right? And then for building, you were 56% of budget. And I'm trying to look back in prior years and see if that's sort of a trend. I'm just wondering, if we can just get a little more hit on target. I'm just wondering what your comments are on that.
We expect.
And then also getting the million, the over the million in the surplus, which you're putting towards all of the, the capital expenditures, the 2 dump trucks and the tool for mechanics, power balance machine, all of those capital expenditures. So I'm just wondering if the budget from prior years, 2021, are also that same type of percentage over. That's what I'm saying.
Jack, if you don't mind me answering that for just 1 second?
Sure.
Because you and I talk all the time. You're looking at 20 and 21 as COVID years. So during COVID years, you had supply chain issues. You had people, contractors that were out due to COVID. So those 2 were anomaly years, which is why you had the robust surpluses. So what we did was, which was approved by Town Council, Board of Finance, and a town meeting, was repurpose those funds to pay for capital equipment. If we didn't do that, you'd have a higher tax today. So if you want to look at actuals, you're going to have to go back prior to those years to get those numbers.
That's my question. That's
And
exactly
then-
my question. Are those 2 anomalies? And if
Yes.
you go back prior,
Yep.
is that more on,
Jack can answer.
this type of a budget, and we're back on that track? That's exactly my question.
Yes, it is, and then, in fact, we spent today going through this year's budget, because there's areas, you may find in some places in this year's budget, say, hey, you had $1.2 million for road projects, and you only spent, $300-something thousand. That's because we start roads starting now, and Mike's going out and ordering $100-something thousand worth of pipe, catch basins. We've just been with our contractors. We're going to be doing 2 of the largest roads that we have in the first half of this year. We're going to be doing Patriots Way. So talking with the mayor, I would say by the time we get to July 1st, we're going to be just about expending all of our budget.
Thank you.
Walter?
One
Walter?
final comment. The Public Works Department for New Milford does an outstanding job.
Absolutely.
One outstanding job was moving that 9/11 memorial to its present location.
Amen.
Gentlemen, thank you.
But again,
You're here.
Mike and Dave did that.
Michael,
And Dave,
thank
the
you.
2 of them did that.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Walter,
Any-
would you say, excuse me, Mayor, but Walter, would you say that the Department of Public Works, along with all the people we've seen over the last 2 weeks, are really what make this the best town in the
Let me tell
USA?
you,
Amen to
Katie, they're outstanding.
Any other questions for Jack? All right, okay. All right, thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Great
And-
job. Thanks, Jack.
I don't have a question for Jack, but I have a question about the upcoming, about tomorrow and then Monday and Thursday. Can you explain?
Absolutely. So tomorrow, for those that are watching and those that are at this board, we have the Board of Education that'll be coming.
And is that the end of the budget, or is that?
It's going to be dependent on the town council or the Board of Finance. If they want to bring a board or commission back, that's why you have Monday as an open date. If they choose not to, then for the town council, their deliberations will be on Thursday.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else? Walter?
Motion.
Joe, did you want something?
I have a question. Are we gonna get Greg Ossopow back here at any point?
He's here tomorrow.
He's here tomorrow? All right, good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hey, Board of Finance, a motion to recess till tomorrow evening, March 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
For the town council, motion to recess till tomorrow, March 6th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.